Dirkens here. Well, I'm about to preview one of the winningest teams in college football history. Oh, they have won many games, just not in recent years. The Michigan Wolverines. Now, when you think about them, you think about the big house. Over 107,000 people there. The largest stadium in the United States. Just trying to show off there. And then, you got to think about all the amazing players that played for them. Got Desmond Howard that played for them, won the Heisman in 91. Charles Woodson, who single-handedly beat Ohio State back in 97 and won the Heisman that same year. And then, of course, love him or hate him, Tom Brady. Then you got to think about back in 2007 when they were the favorites to win the national championship. Tons of talent. A bunch of first and second rounders playing on their team. And a little old team from Boone, North Carolina who had success in their 1AA league, but we know that's different. Went up and beat them. Never forget that announcer from Appalachian State screaming so much sounded like his toes was being ripped off by a dull knife or something. Harbaugh took over. There's been two coaches between him and Carr, but he took over. And back in 15, he won 10 games. 16, he won 10 games. Last year, he went 8-5. They had problems here and there. Their offense even had a wanted ad on Craigslist. They got their underwear ripped over their forehead and beat by a sack of potatoes by Penn State. And they lost to a team that is very dear to us Clemson people's hearts. Not really. The Carolina Gamecocks. They lost in the Outback Bowl. And for those Michigan fans, you're joining us, you really don't know how I feel about the Gamecocks. I'll sum it up this way. I think they're so low that if Judas would have been busy the day of his betrayal, he'd have called a Gamecock fan. That sums it up. But the tide is supposed to be turning this year. Now, Michigan has really good defensive players. I can sit here and rattle off players left and right, and tell you just how good they are. They do return 17 starters across the board, but the defensive unit is outrageous. But everybody is focusing on one individual. He transferred out of the very honest, the very integrity-filled Ole Miss Rebels. I know, I got stuttery there. I need to get me some of this ice cream. I know it's a sorbet. I just like to think of it as, I know it's like ice cream with pennies, but I'd like to think of it as my sweet little treat. You're welcome. But with that said, they're hanging everything on this 5-star recruit who transferred out of Ole Miss because, well, we knew when they were getting all those good recruits, nobody really wants to go to Ole Miss. Anyway, Shea Patterson. Now, Shea Patterson, ridiculous talent, hanging their hat on this youngin'. But he still has to prove himself. Talking about this, you got to look at the Wolverines and see that, I mean, this 6'2", 200-plus pound youngin' out of Ole Miss, he's got the talent, but he has some decent players around him. He has some good players around him. I just want to look at it this way, that they are going to have to be really, really careful how much pressure they put on him, because he still has to guide more than just himself. He's got to guide an entire team. Karan Higdon, and I'm hoping I'm saying that name, almost rushed for 1,000 yards as a running back. He had 11 touchdowns. He did average 6.1 per carry, so you got to keep your eyes on that youngin'. Got Donovan Peoples. Donovan Peoples-Jones, in fact. I love a hyphenated name. I'd like to get one someday. Wide receiver, they expect a lot out of him. You do have a few players on the offense that you can name out, but when you really get down to things, you gotta look at the defense. The defense is star-studded now. They got Rashawn Gary. Clemson fans, you remember him? We were recruiting him pretty heavy, and he ended up going up to Michigan. And though Mr. Gary is very talented, I think our defensive line turned out just fine. 67 tackles and 6 sacks. Then you got what's that youngin's name? Chase Winovich. Chase Winovich, 77 tackles and 8 sacks. That's on the line. Then you get on to Devin Bush, middle linebacker. 100 tackles, 5 sacks, and an interception. Go on to this Lavert Hill. Makes me think about Bert and Ernie. I don't know why. 25 tackles, 2 interceptions. And then a name that I hope to the good Lord I'm nailing, and even if I'm not, y'all forgive me, Khaleke Hudson. 82 tackles, 8 sacks, 2 interceptions. Whew. Defense has a great chance. Now, you got to think, for all of us down here in God's country, you know, as I say, we're in God's country, where Jesus is Lord and football is king. Here's the deal. Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, and Michigan State are all in the East. And over in the West, you got Wisconsin and a bunch of teams that don't matter. So, Michigan State, Penn State, Ohio State, they're all going to play each other, whether they want to or not. That side is so stacked. For those of you who are SEC fans, that's your West. Which the West has really fell off, but that's your West. Okay? The West, in this case, is the SEC East minus Georgia. All right? I know it's going to tick some people off. I don't care. I'm right. You're wrong. But the point about it is that Michigan has a chance this year. But I'm looking at all these polls. I'm reading all these different books. I'm listening to people screaming on the radio. And I just cannot buy that they're just going to be this amazing comeback team because I'm looking at their schedule right now. See, people raise up a stink over stuff. They want Michigan back because it's good for football. I don't care who it's good for. The only thing that's good for football is these boys when it comes to my mind. Raising a stink reminds me of my boys. Bobby Dirkens Jr., Bobby Dirkens Jr. They're like skunks. They're doing good until they raise that tail up, and then they stir up a stink. Very first game for Michigan is a game they used to play every year. Then they took a hiatus. I don't know why. But they're at Notre Dame. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, this is a toss-up. But Notre Dame, I don't know. I don't know about Notre Dame. They lost a pretty solid amount this year. I mean, they lost those good players on the line. They lost Josh Adams. They lost some good players. I could be wrong, but I think Michigan will go to Notre Dame and they will beat Notre Dame. And they'll come out of that game 1-0. Next game, Western Michigan Broncos. That's at Ann Arbor. You're going to win that game. You'll play SMU Mustangs. You will win that game. You will play the Nebraska Cornhuskers at Ann Arbor. You got to watch Scott Frost. If this was 2 or 3 years from now, I bet you that I'll be saying something a little different than this, but you will win that game. Then you play at Northwestern. That's your first away game since the Notre Dame game. Pat Fitzgerald, I like him. He goes up there and he coaches at a team that you have to be a genius to get into the school. You got to hand it to him. It's not like down there at Carolina where they can ask you and say, "Can you spell cat?" And they go, K-A-T. And they say, "You're in. Close enough. Sounds a lot." I think you're going to beat Northwestern, but you better keep your eye on them. Because right now you're going to be riding a 4-game winning streak. Especially that Notre Dame win. You're going to be a little confident. This was a game you could lose. You know you can lose it, right? Yeah, you know? Yeah. Then you're going to go back and play Maryland. Though I think you're going to win against Northwestern. Then you're going to play Maryland. I could beat Maryland. Here's a biggie. Wisconsin. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you I think Wisconsin's going to come in and beat you. I just think that you're going to be riding that streak. I just think they're going to beat you at Ann Arbor. I think they are. And if they don't, well, good for you. Because the very next week, you're at East Lansing. That's a toss-up game, but I really believe you'll beat Michigan State. It's a rivalry game. You're going to be fired up, especially if you lose to Wisconsin. Then you're going to be off. Then you have Penn State, the team that dropped their drawers and took a peanut-filled dookie on you last year. Good Lord. And they return a lot of players. I know Barkley's gone, but everybody else is there. That's a difficult one. I have mixed emotions. I have mixed emotions. It's kind of like when you're in a parking lot and you kind of pull up a little far. There's a car coming through. and they look at you like you're about to hit them, though you're not going to hit them. And then they stare at you and start giving you the evil eye, even though you didn't come close to hitting them. They thought you did, but they giving you evil eye. And now all of a sudden, you're fired up, and now you do want to hit them because they're being douches. This is a toss-up, but I believe you're going to beat Penn State. Especially if Shay's doing good. You'll beat Penn State. Then you're at Rutgers. Who cares? You'll beat them. Then you're playing Indiana. You're going to beat them. And then you're at Ohio State. And you're not going to beat them. I know I just went down every one of your crapper right there. I know. I'm the Southern guy down here, and I have the stereotype. I know. Y'all look at me and y'all say, I bet he's the type who stereotypes people. You know what? I do stereotype people. You know why? Because you'll have those people chattering. I don't know why we stereotype people. That is so wrong. We should give everybody an even chance. Until the person that you are stereotyping, that they shamed you for stereotyping, goes out, commits a crime, like the way that, they look like a nut, and they go and kidnap somebody and take them off, Lord knows where, down into the Everglades, and they're like, what were y'all doing? Because you saw what he's like, but you told me that I shouldn't stereotype him. Make up your mind. You're going to lose to Ohio State. You might not, but I think you will. And you're going to finish second in the league, I think, right behind Ohio State. It'll be Ohio State and Wisconsin in the championship. You're going to make a pretty good run. I mean, could you go undefeated? I don't think so. You have to have more pieces to the puzzle on the offense. Now, on the defense, you have the pieces of the puzzle to beat everybody on your schedule. On the offense, I don't know what you're smoking, but yeah, you've lost it. Well, I hope you enjoyed it, and if you didn't, it's probably because I pissed you off. And see, at the end of the day, life is like toilet paper. You tear some off, you throw it away. And in this case, just another review for me? No, I put my heart and soul into it. It's the reason I know I'm right. Bobby Dirkens saying, catch me on Instagram at @TheBobbyDirkens. You'll get a good helping of The Bobby Dirkens. Share this video, hit subscribe, tell your grandma. And, yeah, Bobby Dirkens saying, I'm right, and if you disagree with me, you're wrong, Bobby Dirkens.